Was it you that said you liked a lorry cake, was it?
No, I'd never had one.
Oh, bloody beautiful. Beautiful, my God. Yeah, man, ain't cheap though, but lovely bit of grease on the bottom, nice bit of lard, bloody beautiful. Bugger, I'll create a piece of that now with a bit of butter on. People say, oh, I wouldn't have butter on it. Oh, yeah. Oh, that time we know you's come, I'll go in town and I'll get you a lorry cake. I guarantee you'll like it, if you like a nice bit of grease on the bottom. It's like me, if I had fish and chips, I'd have to, homemade fish, I'd have to have a knob of butter at the side for my chips to go in. Yeah, see, Bob would be sick if he had that. Knob of butter at the side, bugger, yeah. What do you try to get out of it? Because we went down, they took me down for my birthday the other week, the girls, went down to Berryhead Hotel, oh, bugger me, beautiful. Guess how much a fish and chips, 18.95 I think it was. But the fish, it didn't say cod, but it was cod, and it was from one end of the batter to the other, and the batter was wafer thin, but they had a pickled onion with it. I'd never heard that. Fish chips and mushy peas and a pickled onion. I said to Kate, I don't want that. I said, you never had pickled onion. Fancy putting a pickled onion with fish chips and peas. I never heard of such a petty tripe, I am honestly. Fish chips, God, have you ever heard that? Fish chips, mushy peas and a pickled onion? Must be the in thing. I've never heard, you wouldn't put that together, would I? Romy, my daughter, was telling me that now, if you don't ask, if they don't give you your tartar sauce, you ask that you're charged for it now. What a bloody rip-off. I mean, there was tartar sauce with it, but that's what she said, yeah, if you don't get it now, and it doesn't say, if it just says fish, chips and peas, it doesn't say it's tartar sauce, and you ask it, you got to pay for it. Bugger that for a lark. Yeah. Weird, isn't it? But God, bloody beautiful fish and chips, I tell you, bloody beautiful. Bloody dear, all of it, really. Because I nearly went for the cold meat trio or platter or whatever it was called. And only because it had coleslaw on there, and I thought, oh, I love that. I think it was beef, chicken and honey roast ham. And I think it was served with salad and coleslaw, or you could have chips. But I think, again, that was 1995. And then I thought, well, if that roast beef's a bit chewy and a bit pink, and me having to wear me teeth to have to go down there, I thought, well, that'll be fun. So I thought, no, I didn't take that chance. I kept in me fish, chips and mushy peas.
I can remember Mum buying a block of ice cream in a cardboard wrapper. You totally understand, and any older person, I expect you can still buy them, and cutting it into 5 slices once a month. And that was our treat. You know, that was an incredible thing. You know, we used to look forward to that. And I could now walk 400 metres up to the supermarket here and buy 10 tons of ice cream if I wanted to. I mean, that's how things have changed, you know. So my mum's mum, she used to do parsnips, and she used to mush them up and put banana flavouring with it and give that to Mum as banana sandwiches, because the texture's very similar. And my gran always used to say we used to send Mum to primary school with a couple of homemade bread. There was no bought bread then, and that would be, yeah, that was Mother's sandwiches for school, like. So great. I mean, you would remember the little quart bottles of milk. I was the milk monitor at Stratton Primary School that I used to go to. Those who wanted hot milk put their hands up. Big steel radiators we had in our classrooms, and if 20 wanted warm milk at 10 o'clock, I'd put them lie them up in the thing. Anyone wanted cold, they would have. Yeah, great. All had a little bottle of milk. What a lovely way to start the day, really. I'm always remember our dinner ladies at primary school, you know, they were great. Because the community was so strong then, everyone knew each other, and Mrs. Dinner was our Stratton Primary School lady, and I grew up with her sons, and she would say, Martin, got some more blancmange today. You have another bit of blancmange, like, you know, used to look after us like, we ate like kings. We really did. Rock salmon, which is dogfish. We used to have, that was always rock salmon was on the menu on a Friday, always bones in it from what I remember. But that was just dogfish, you know, stuff that now people are really using for bait or throw it back. But very edible meat and very nice, really. So, yeah, none of us starved, none of us was underweight, and we all ran around pretty much like headless chickens. So I think we were fitting well for sure. I mean, I got pictures, the same as everywhere, of the beaches back in the 50s and 60s and early 70s, and you won't see anyone there that's carrying a few extra pounds, really. You know, everybody was was very lean, really. I think we've become a little bit wealthier. Not everyone, but I think, and probably the diet's changed. You know, everyone was doing their own vegetables back, certainly 50s, 60s and 70s from what I remember my mum and dad. Everywhere, growing up as a kid, all my street at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when all the men used to come home from work, they were all digging their allotments. Everybody was in the back garden planting whatever, potatoes obviously as a staple sort of diet, and all the seasonal things for the whole year. So, you know, everybody was cooking their own vegetables, and they were all trading. I remember Dad passing over 2 lettuce to my neighbour, and him passing it 3 doors up to the next one, and a dozen tomatoes would come back the other way. How great was that? And yeah, the whole street pretty much used to look after each other. Yeah, great times, great sort of lovely upbringing, really. Kids are missing that. They're not having that little experience now. They're getting the experiences what they're doing, but they were some fantastic days.
In the local village where I lived, Walbstow, we used to have a tip, council tip, and everything got put in that tip. There was old lorries, cars, motorbikes, prams, you name it, all got put in that tip. We used to meet up down the village, and then we'd all go down the tip, have a hunt round the tip for anything, push bike. We used to paint motorbike frames, as long as it had a couple of wheels on. We'd push it all the way up to the top of Walbstow Borough, and there'd be 4 or 5 of us get on one little push bike, motorbike, or whatever it would be, and we'd go from Walbstow Borough right down through Walbstow and try and get down to Jones's shop down in Camley Water, all in one run. And get down to the shop, get some sweets or whatever, and then who's pushing the bike back, we used to say. Well, I can't be bothered, so we used to toss the bloody thing in the river. Chuck it all in the river and then walk back. Be a push bike, motorbike, bloody old pram sometimes. But you had some good fun down Walbstow. We used to but get an old push bike out that tip, whether it had tyres on or not, take it to Mr. Hill's field, top of Mr. Hill's field, and he had a marsh in the bottom. We'd drag an old door down, put it on a log, and see who could jump off of that door, roll all the way down the hill, and then come off that ramp, who could go furthest in the marsh. And then when we got riding mopeds, we, funny as hell really, we used to go down to Jones's, which is at Camley Water, petrol station, shop, and if you went past the pumps one way and come in one way, you wouldn't ring the bell. You should drive over this rubber, and of course it would set the bell going, and then they'd come out. Well, we learned if we went down the wrong way, come in the wrong way, we could pull the old lever down on the pump. We'd fill all our bikes up, and then whoever's turn it was, he'd do the paying. So what we used to do is fill ours up, put the bloody thing back, move out the way. This is all whilst Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Jones was in there. And then whoever's turn it was, he'd put some petrol in his bike, and then he'd ring the bell. And then he'd pay for his, but we used to do it in turns. You wouldn't get away with that now. The other day I picked a load of conkers, and the kids didn't even know how to have a game of conkers. Our grandkids. So I drilled a hole through them, put a shoelace in it, and showed them out what a game of conkers was. Well, it isn't right, is it?
Well, I was 17 when I had my first car. Started to learn to drive. The car was kept over my grandmother's, her uncles and aunties' place at Pedwell. They kept me over there because The one who got me Devon, because father couldn't drive. So my uncle used to go out with me. And then, of course, I used to go to driving school, cycle to Langport and catch H&C bus and go down Taunton for an hour. I went down there a long time, and I seemed to failed on the same thing. So I told him I wasn't going to come down anymore or waste any more money. I waited, and I had my old car, Rover 10. And I asked Auntie, because I used to drive my old car about here with my uncle, I asked my auntie to go down with me. I'd never been to Taunton with him before. I was ashamed of driving because he's so old. He had like sideboards that where you had to get in, and you had to turn it up the handle, start up with the handle, and you had things that flip up. Go a left-hand turn, you had to put your hand out the window to do that if you're going left. There wasn't no blinkers, and that's the word I want to say. No blinkers. Right hand, you stick out for right. You're going right there, stick your hand out. That's how I learnt. First time I drove the car to Taunton, I passed my test with my auntie. I couldn't believe that I passed. The first time I was ashamed of driving, ashamed to go down there with him. But I thought, well, I must try it. And lo and behold, I passed. Bit of a shock for me. YY668, that was the number of him. I think he went on for a scrap, £10 in the end. And I hadn't a few years, I suppose. He just about go up over Ham Hill. He was, gears. He just managed to get up crawl up over High Ham Hill, so steep. Make him puff a bit. Not like the day the car whip over. Oh, I remember he was so slow. Wouldn't get up for speeding. Well, he's old, isn't he? They didn't go very fast, did they? Oh dear. I've had a lot of cars in my life. And trucks. I've had 3 or 4 trucks. Loads of cars I've had.
Some of these places now, I won't go in a lot of this place. You come in Italian. I don't want a bloody Italian. Went to Gigi's in Blasphemy the other day. You gotta have some pizza. Oh, so I haven't got to have no pizza. I had a pork cutlet and a trifle or something like that. Yeah, I said the pork cutlet was lovely. I cannot see what people are seeing in a great big round piece of pastry with a few fillings on the top. Cheese on toast, that's all it is. I was going to have cheese on toast home. But they did a nice pork cutlet. I had a lovely pork cutlet in Gigi's, and vegetables. Everybody was laughing at me because there was 8 of us, 10 of us, wasn't there? 10 of us, I think. I was sitting down and eating my pork cutlet, and they were all eating this big pizza. I don't see what they see in it. I mean, I love pork. I love pork myself, and when I go out, I will very rarely not have pork, because years ago, everybody used to castrate their pigs, but nowadays they're not allowed to castrate them, and if they kill pigs that are too old, you can taste the boar pig. If you've ever tasted a boar pig, you don't know what I mean. Because the smell of it puts you off. I was in a hotel once, and I'd ordered the one anything else ordered, so I ordered the pork. And you could smell that pork coming other side of the table. I said, I don't want it. You could smell it. It's from an uncastrated, yeah, that's the word. Not castrated, an uncastrated pig. If you let them get too big, you can, if it gets too mature, you can smell it. Because my father used to keep boar pigs, and the boar pigs would always stink. You could always smell them. They always stunk because they were the male species, and they'd always stink. And I'm always very wary about eating pork out. And if it's all right if they kill them young enough, but if you let them get too big, too old, because if you find a lot of butchers, if you look at a lot of butchers, they will only buy gilt pigs. Local butchers. It's the supermarkets are at fault, but the local butchers, they'll only buy female pigs then, because they know. Don't take the chance of it, because if a local butcher, especially some of the villages in and around here, if they got a pig that they know is a boar pig, they got a chance of some of it coming back. But a lot of town people don't understand that, do they? I'm a traditionalist. I like traditional food, like a roast dinner. How many people like that today? Roast dinner, I can have a roast with the vegetables, and this is what you like. My mother cooked, her idea, when we were young, she used to sit in the house all day and thinking of the next meal, what you're going to have for the next meal. She cooked a roast meal all the time. That was what was important, was having a roast dinner. No matter what else, you had a roast dinner. Potatoes, gravy, greens, meat, whatever. It was roast dinner every day, And we thoroughly enjoyed it, what we was used to. We always had roast dinner. It was a typical thing on a farm. Men been outside working all day. When you come in for your dinner, you want to sit down and have a nice roast, have something another every day. We didn't have no money, but we always had good food. My father had some racing pigeons. We used to eat they sometimes. He had 400 bloody racing pigeons one time. Oh God, it used to drive us daft. But anyway, if she wanted a cheap meal, you go get 4 squeakers off of. This is squeakers just. They haven't been out. They fully fledged, but they haven't been out. We go kill a dozen a day and eat them. That's how bad it was. We had no money, but we always had good food. But we didn't have no money. See, my father never had no money. Mother never had no money. And we never had no money. But we lived well. We always lived well. I love good food, but it got to be traditional. Got to be food that you've always eaten. What's the matter with good old fish and chips? That's what I say. I love fish and chips, but people come in and say, "Want to try some of that Thai food? It's wonderful." Well, I don't bloody want the stuff. I said, "It look horrible." It look horrible. If you got to like the look of it, haven't you? I won't go near the Thai wagon. I'll go near the fish and chip wagon. I'll have fish and chips any day. I'll live in, but I won't go near that bloody rubbish.
Have you ever tried it?
No. I don't like the look of it. I'll tell you one thing you can go by the rubbish bin. All right, the rubbish bin. Yeah. All right, if it's chucked out, you know it ain't very good, do you? That's one thing you can go by. My daughter will come in. She'll come in. Why not have? That's lovely. I said, "Is it? Well, you eat it. I ain't eating it." I mean, I like going and eat them, sitting in there and have them hot. I love my food hot. We were on holiday last week in Wales. And and I said the breakfast every morning was cold. Is it too much trouble to get hot plates for breakfast? Cold plate. You put hot food on there. Time you walked all the way around and sat down and just started eating, this food is cold. Why? Well, it's quite simple, isn't it? Isn't it simple? What's the matter with people? They said. I said, I wouldn't come here again, but what's the matter with it? I said, well, the food's always cold. I hate food that's bloody cold. This is why my missus always complained at me, because if you're in a restaurant and you get your food brought to you, and I pick up my knife and fork, she's nudging me to put my knife and fork down, because it's bad manners to start eating before everybody got their food. I said, I got to eat mine while it's hot. I said, and what restaurant, it might come for 10 minutes, won't it? How do you know when it's going to come? I said, bugger 'em. I'm going to eat mine while it's hot. I can't abide cold food, especially if it's hot food. You've got to eat hot food, haven't you, when it's hot. It's cold. If it's salad or something like that, well, you put up with it because it's cold. You can't eat salad, but if it's hot food, I've got to eat it when it's hot. I can't help it.